In order to help his little brothers and sisters at the orphanage and save the person he loves, a young man who had a terminal disease donated his heart without hesitation. Lying on the operating table, the anesthetic had gradually eroded his consciousness, and he knew that he would never get off the operating table again. In the last trace of consciousness that remained, he was still thinking about the woman he loved deeply.
Wait, I am still a virgin!
This selfless act moved the hearts of the gods into gifting William the opportunity to enter the cycle of reincarnation with their blessings. But after rebirth, his mother was a goat? What's even more enviable is that he was born with a cheating system. This system can help him level up quickly and get a better career. Just like a game where you upgrade to fight monsters, you are a beta player and have information that ordinary players don't know.
Hi! Long time no see, my dears. Welcome to WebNovel channel. I'm W. Today, follow me in a world of swords and magic, where adventures roam wild and free. The tale of the legendary shepherd is about to begin. The next time William opened his eyes, he found himself lying on what seemed to be a cloud, traveling in the heavens. After propping himself to a seating position, he realized that he had already died. As the cloud traveled deeper into space, he noticed countless other clouds flying in his direction. It turns out that the people on the clouds are all dead. Some of these people were old, some were young, and some were extremely young. There were even babies on some of the clouds that made his heart ache. Soon, he saw a beautiful planet in the distance. All of the clouds were flying towards that planet. To his surprise, his cloud didn't follow the other souls, and simply flew straight to the center of the planet. He wondered why this was so, but he soon found himself standing in front of a massive gate, alongside a few dozen people.
Welcome to the Temple of the 10,000 Gods.
He has been chosen! Rebirth! An old man, who seemed to be the gatekeeper, greeted everyone. He told the people that had gathered there that their actions in life had been recognized by the gods. Because of this, they were allowed to choose a patron god to receive their blessings before they enter the cycle of reincarnation. When the gate opened, William found himself in what seemed to be a bazaar. Beautiful women and handsome men wearing unique clothes stood on stalls and called out to the people who had just arrived. After taking a stroll and looking at the various strolls, William realized that these so-called merchants were actually gods. It seemed that they were doing their best to look for followers who would receive their blessing.
Good day, young friend. Are you interested in becoming the strongest person in the world?
The merchant asked. He is Gavin, the god of all trades. The power of gods depends on the number of followers that they had. Those who were worshipped by millions of people were several times stronger than those who were worshipped by a few. William, who was still unsure of what to do, didn't accept or reject Gavin's proposal to become his follower. In the end, the god of all trades decided to give the young man a tour of the temple of the 10,000 gods and introduce him to the gods that were doing their best to gather supporters. He explained the 3 types of gods that were inside the temple. The first one was the primordial gods that were born since the dawn of time. They were the gods of fire, earth, wind, water, lightning, and other elemental powers. The second one was the personification gods, who were born from emotions and professions. The examples of these gods were the god of war, god of love, god of hunters, god of music and the arts. Last but not the least were the new generation gods. These were the gods that were just born and had very unique traits. Gavin took William to the stall of one of these new generation gods, and the young man was surprised to see how long the queue was. This line was for the people who had decided to sign a contract with a god and accept their blessings. The new generation god that was manning the stall was a cute little girl who seemed no older than 12 years old. She had pink hair, red eyes, and adorable lips, and she was happily shaking hands with the teenage boys that had decided to choose her as their patron god. She was like a little Red Riding Hood that would melt the hearts of the people who saw her. To William's surprise, he found out that the little girl was the lolly goddess, Lily. Noticing that someone was staring at her, she glanced in William's direction, gave him a very sweet smile, and waved at him. William, who couldn't resist her smile, waved back at the little goddess, which made her giggle. After visiting the stall of the Lolly Goddess, Gavin took William to see another stall manned by another new generation god. The people who were lining up on the god's stall was longer than the line on Lily's stall, which made William wonder just what kind of god could attract so many followers. Upon taking a closer look at the store, he found several beautiful women, handing out contracts to the people in front of them. When the young man looked up to see the sign on top of the stall, he was shocked to see that the stall actually belonged to the harem god, Issei.
Let me join, thank you.
Gavin looked at him in disdain. However, when it was William's turn to sign the contract of the harem god, the god ran out of contracts. He had reached the maximum limit of his followers, so he was no longer able to give William a contract, which greatly disappointed him. Even so, the harem god, Issei, took a liking to William. Even though the young man didn't sign his contract, Issei gave him his blessing in the form of a king chess piece. This chess piece actually contained the power of Issei's divinity, which was just as good as any blessing that William could receive from a god in the temple. But it didn't end there. Lily, who had just finished dealing with the people in her own stall, found William and asked him to sign a contract with her. William rejected Lily's proposal, but the Lolly Goddess was adamant and followed the young man around while he was looking for a god to sign a contract with. In the end, William decided to become Gavin's follower. Truth be told, the god of all trades only had one follower left in the world. If no one no longer believed in a god, then that god would cease to exist. This was why Gavin was desperate to look for a follower, but he didn't tell this to William. Gavin's power was to allow other people to have multiple jobs and combine these jobs into one powerful job. For example, the job classes of a spearman, a swordsman, and axe specialist could be combined to form a job called gladiator or weapon master. However, as good as this ability sounded, not many people could have multiple professions. It takes years to become proficient in mastering a weapon, and shifting to another weapon to master was something that most professionals do not dare to do lightly. Because of this, those who had multiple professions were extremely rare. Only long-lived races were able to do this, like elves, but even they didn't like to focus on so many things despite their long lifetimes. After signing the contract, Gavin gave William a CPU core, which contained the power of his divinity. Not wanting to be left out, the Lolly Goddess decided to give the young man her blessing in the form of a pink lollipop that contained the power of her divinity. Since doing this wasn't against the rules of the temple, no one found fault in it. After receiving 3 blessings from 3 different gods, William was more than ready to enter the Cycle of Reincarnation, where countless portals of different grades could be seen. William asked for advice on which portal to take, but Gavin, Issei, Lily only shook their heads because they weren't allowed to divulge anything about the portals. At that moment, an old man holding a wooden staff emerged from one of these portals and was surprised to see his friends. Originally, he thought that the 3 gods was waiting for his arrival, but after hearing their story, the old man looked at William with a smile. The old god was the god of shepherds, David, and he decided to give William the wooden staff that he was holding as a memento of their meeting. It starts with the top equipment. The MC has obtained multiple professions and the blessing of 3 patron saints. Can't this mean that you can directly choose the difficult mode? When the young man was finally ready to enter the golden portal he had chosen, a truck suddenly appeared in one of the portal and hit the boy, sending him crashing to a red portal in the distance. That red portal is... Just the beginning is so interesting. Entering a portal of not his own choosing, will William be able to live the life he ever wanted? What will happen to the blessings that he received from the gods? Will there be a happy ending to this fairy tale? It doesn't matter, believe him, he is the protagonist. In the following story, the MC will also have a fierce battle with goblins with the blessing of his system. Actually, I will never tell you that he ended up with 31 wives. Want to unlock more storylines? Only on WebNovel and search Reincarnated with the strongest system.